Hello. Woo. Hello. Buenos días. Mi nombre es Eva y mis pronombres son ella. Sirvo con gratitud como la coordinadora del programa de exploración religiosa. Good morning, my name is Eva, and my pronouns are she, her. I serve gratefully as the Religious Exploration Coordinator. Thank you. I'm delighted to welcome you to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Fresno on this Mother's Day and Flower Communion Sunday. Welcome to everyone on our virtual church campus. Wave. Welcome to everyone on our Alluvial Avenue Church campus. Welcome. And welcome to everyone savoring the spiritual richness of this service later on Facebook or YouTube. We are one congregation in many places. Somos una congregación en muchos lugares. Our monthly worship theme for May is the path of creativity. Today we explore how during a dangerous and divided time, two people created a simple yet beautiful ritual that 100 years later still captures the essence of being part of a Unitarian Universalist congregation. If you are on our virtual campus, you still have time to get a flower from outside, find an artificial flower inside, or even draw a picture of a flower. That way you can participate in our annual flower communion later on in the service. We acknowledge that our Alluvial Avenue Church campus sits within the traditional homelands of the Yokuts people, who are the past, present, and future stewards of this land. As Unitarian Universalists, we welcome you no matter your race, culture of origin, age, spiritual background, or religious beliefs. We welcome you and your neurodiversity. This is a safe spiritual place, no matter your level of formal education, the amount of money in your bank account, or your disabilities. We celebrate the rainbow of diversity that includes those of us who are lesbian, gay, bi, transgender, non-binary, or gender fluid. You are welcome with or without documentation. No one is illegal at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Fresno. All are welcome here. Todos son bienvenidos aquí. If you are on our virtual church campus and want your joys, sorrows, concerns, or gratitudes included in today's service, just text them to us at 559-209-4977. That's 559-209-4977. You can also type them in the chat box, but you have to do that right now so we have time to gather them and share later on in the service. Be sure to text your name as well so we know who you are. Our annual pledge drive allows us to get the cumulative total of your anticipated financial support for the next fiscal year. This week, Reverend Tim finalized our budget-based pledge total, and that budget will be hopefully approved at our annual meeting next Sunday. Here's Tim with a very quick update.
Thank you, Eva. Appreciate it. So I have some wonderful news, but first I want to thank everyone who made a pledge during this pledge drive season. I want to thank everyone who last week increased their pledge to help us inch closer to our goal. I am so thrilled to announce that we have raised a total of $600,431. But there's more. One individual, in addition to their very generous pledge, waived several months of mortgage payments that we would be making to this individual because they covered our mortgage for us so we could have a smaller interest rate. And so cumulative gift from this individual added now to our total is a total of $46,000 gift from this congregant. I also want to acknowledge that some of us made a donation of $5. We value that because we need every dollar. And also we want to honor all those who, because of their financial situation, simply can't pledge at this time. But you're here on the virtual campus, and your presence among us is truly a gift. Thank you.
If you are on our Alluvial Avenue campus and brought a flower blossom with you, feel free to bring it forward during this time and place it in one of our baskets in front of the sanctuary. Now, in our Alluvial Avenue sanctuary, in the chat box or in the silence of your hearts, let's take a moment to say, Buenos dias.
Buenos dias. Buenos dias. Mi nombre es Timoteo. My name is Tim, and my pronouns are he, him. As you may have noticed, some awesome kiddos are with us for the beginning of the service today. They're going to head off then to their religious explorations, then come back and join us for our actual flower communion. But whenever we have kids who are here for that long, we realize that some adults just can't sit still. So we always have the all-church wiggle. So if you're willing and able, just rise for a moment. And if you have a left hand, just give it a shake. A right hand, give it a shake. Your left foot, if you can, give it a shake. Your right foot, if you can, give it a shake. And the most important, butt wiggle. And everybody inhale, up, 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 up. And as you exhale, just sink gently into your seat. The sound of the tingsha will take us into a place of quiet. So kids, I want you to listen for when the silence begins. So I'm going to ring, and then when you hear the silence begin, just raise your hand so that we know you hear the silence. And so, on this Mother's Day, on this Flower Communion Sunday, let us begin.
What do you give to the lady who has given all her life and love to you? What do you give to the reasons you are living? I could window shop the world before I'm through. Mama, a rainbow, mama, a sunrise, mama, the moon to wear. That's not good enough, no, not good enough, not for Mama, a palace, diamonds like doorknobs, mountains of gold to spare. That's not rich enough, no, not rich enough, not for Mama. Mama, a lifetime crowded with laughter, that's not long enough, not half long enough. What can I give you that I can give you? What will your present be? Mama, young and beautiful, always young and beautiful, that's the Mama I'll always see. That's for Mama with love from me.
Good morning, buenos dias. Mi nombre es Eliana. My name is Eliana. Happy Mother's Day to all those who nurture children in any way. If you are joining us on our virtual campus and have a candle or chalice with you, bring it close as we'll be lighting it soon. If you don't have a candle or chalice this morning, we hope you might bring one next time. Our chalice lighting words come from Unitarian Universalist Atticus Palmer. We kindle this light in hope that we may always remain a strong community, working together to make the world a better place. When we are grieving or sad, when we are challenged, when we need help, this flame guides us out of the shadows. When we are cheerful, when we celebrate, when we accomplish a great task, when we return to a place that makes us happy, the chalice reminds us to share our happiness with others. On this Flower Communion Sunday, may we also remember that each of us is like a flower blossom, unique and beautiful, each in our own way. But joined together, we become more than we can be on our own. Joined together, we create a breathtaking bouquet of creativity and love. In that spirit, please light your chalice or candle at home. Tim, will you kindle this flame on our Alluvial Avenue campus?
Eliana, I will.
Let us rise now in body or spirit and join in singing the song of praise, Wake Now, My Senses. And to all our kids, watch the screen to see when a picture of a flower appears. And every time it does, raise your hand as high as you can.
Wake now my senses and hear the earth call. Feel the deep power of being it all. Keep with the web of creation.
invite us to remain standing as we say together the words of our mission. La misión de la Iglesia Unitaria Universalista de Fresno es amar inclusivamente, crecer espiritualmente, servir con gratitud y trabajar por la justicia. The mission of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Fresno is to love inclusively, grow spiritually, serve gratefully, and work for justice. Please be seated. At this time, we are going to send all of our kiddos off to their explorations of spirituality with Eva and the team. But memorize where you're sitting right now, because you're going to need to come back here a little bit later in the service. Okay, let's sing them out, Alex and Leslie.
We hold you in our love as you go, as you go. May your heart be at peace as you go. To nurture the spark of precious life. We hold you in our love as you go.
I invite us to just together take a nice deep breath in. We hold the moment and we let that breath out. Another deep centering breath in, imagining that you're breathing in peace. You hold the moment, we breathe out love. And one more time together. Breathing in peace. We hold the moment, we breathe out love. We continue breathing together in our sanctuary. For some of us, it's the first slow and deep breath that we maybe had time to take all week, so savor that. And as we breathe together, just imagine that that breath had the ability to carry you back over the last 7 days, memories, images, feelings from the last week of your living. Two questions emerged. The first, in the last week, where did you see, hear, or experience sorrow? In the last week, where did you see, hear, or experience beauty? I think we experience beauty each Sunday as we really create space, not just for us to breathe into who we are, but to acknowledge the complex beings that we are, filled with joys, sorrows, gratitude, concerns. Some of us on our virtual campus, and we're so grateful, texted us a joy or concern, a sorrow or gratitude. Some of us on our Alluvial Avenue campus stopped at the small table at the entranceway to the sanctuary and wrote that down on a small card. This is some of what is alive within us, among us, and beyond us. Someone who is anonymous writes a gratitude. Mom, I acknowledge the huge changes I brought to your life as an 18-year-old college student that society forced out of school. And thank you for not taking up your father's offer to drive you to Chicago for an abortion. Thank you, Mom. I love you. Paula is feeling thankful for the great news about Fresno receiving $250 million for downtown renovation projects from Governor Newsom's budget. Betty P. is feeling love and appreciation to her mom, who passed into the mysteries of death 17 years ago. From our virtual campus, Jamie sends us gratitude and joy, sends her love, and we send to Jamie our love and blessings. Carlos is feeling a sorrow. 1 year ago, there was that horrific attack on the black neighborhood in Buffalo by a white supremacist who had semi-automatic rifle. Paula is missing the vibrant, joyous mother, her vibrant, joyous mother, Bernadette Siegel, missing her so much. And we miss her as well, Paula. We remember, too, our beloved church members and friends who are living with health challenges, with compromised mobility or other impacts to their well-being. We lift up Margaret H., Bev F., William H., Glenda R., and Pat M. Some of us may notice that that list is one name shorter this week. On Wednesday, we lost into the mysteries of death longtime member Edith Horner. I talked with her daughter Carolyn, who said her mom was one of a kind, with a smile that lit up a room and lit up our hearts. Edith will be sorely missed, and I know she is a dear friend of many of us in this sanctuary and in this congregation. We also acknowledge that May is Asian American Pacific Islander American Heritage Month. And so, for all that has been shared, for all that we hold in the sacred silence of our own hearts, and for all those who on this day have no one to remember them, no one to say their name with gentleness or kindness, we light our candle of community. By our remembering, may we and they be blessed. Our call to meditation, voice still and small, pequeña voz.
Small, deep inside all, I hear you call, singing in storm and rain, sorrow and pain, still will remain, singing, calming my fears, quenching my tears, through all the years, singing, pequeña voz dentro del ser, oigo tu voz cantando. En mi dolor, llanto y mi terror, siento tu amor cantando. Siempre darás calma y solas en mi pesar cantando.
Let us join our hearts, let us join our minds in the spirit of prayer or reflection. Let us pray. O source of life, mystery, and love, we give thanks on this Mother's Day for all those who have brought life into our world or who nurture children.
We wish the well-being of mothers throughout the world, and for stepmothers, foster mothers, grandmothers, great-grandmothers, aunts, sisters, all those who care for children. We pray too for those women who have responded to a special call of mothering, those who have adopted their child or their children. We hold in our hearts those who are single mothers. We celebrate lesbian and non-binary couples raising children.
We remember, too, the mothers of the world who have lost their lives or been wounded in war, and for those who live as refugees. We remember those women who have lost their children to violence, war, or natural disasters. We remember the many working mothers in this country who are not paid a living wage for their service industry that benefits us all.
Fuente de Amor, Precious Spirit, on this day of celebration, we acknowledge this can also be a day of complication and pain for those separated from their mother, by distance, by past history, by painful memory, by estrangement, by death. We acknowledge the loss and empty space their absence leaves.
We remember, too, those mothers and grandmothers among us who are separated or estranged from their children or grandchildren. We acknowledge that life is complicated, often messy, sometimes left unfinished, and we surround you with our love. Spirit, who is womb to us all, we also acknowledge on this day those who have felt the pain and suffering caused by the death of a precious child, lost during pregnancy, infancy, during childhood or teenage years, or in adulthood. May they be held in love, comfort, and strength on this day and always.
We also celebrate those who nurture children other than their own, teachers, mentors, librarians, volunteers, and the neighbors down the street. For all these, and for all those throughout history who have lived as if all children are worthy of love and care, may we be truly grateful.
Que así sea, bendito sea, may it be so, blessed be. Amen.
Hello again. I'm Eliana. Several years ago, before the pandemic, my brother Nicholas and I had a practice of making a financial pledge each year to the church. We did this because this congregation really mattered to our family, and we realized that being part of a church meant supporting it financially if we are able, or by sharing in other ways, such as volunteering to greet people at the doors as they enter the sanctuary, helping out in the kitchen during coffee hour, or just typing in "hello, good morning" in the chat box on our virtual campus. The pandemic upended things for my family, and during the shutdown, our Sunday mornings became filled with other ways of spending our time. But we still helped out by filming videos for the virtual worship service and chalice lightings. Our dad also played the drums or guitar in music videos and during the service. Now that our Sunday services are back in person, our mom, Carrie, helped organize last week's church picnic, and our dad serves on the board of trustees. Nicholas plays drums sometimes in Stolen Thunder, and I helped him by adding my voice to the service. Perhaps this morning, some of us will be inspired to make a small special offering to help maintain our Sunday services in person on our Alluvial Avenue campus and our virtual campus. Even a few dollars from several of us adds up to become much-needed financial support. In the spirit of giving, let us join our voices in our call of offering, which will appear on the screen. If not us, then who? If not open hearts, then what? If not now, then when? If not here, then where? If not generously, then how? If not us, then who? Here is a slide showing how you can make a financial contribution right now on our virtual campus, or if you're on our Alluvial Avenue campus, you can also drop cash or check into the basket on your way out of the sanctuary. Or you can share generously right this moment by using Cash App. Just send your contribution to $UU Fresno. The morning offering will now be gratefully received. May this church continue to be worth the many forms of our gifts.
On our virtual campus, if you don't happen to have a flower with you for the flower communion, this is a perfect time to go outside, maybe pick one. You have official dispensation to steal one from your neighbor's yard. No, I'm just joking, you might want to find an artificial flower somewhere in the house, or even a picture of a flower, just sketch a flower. That way you'll be able to participate. We are going to sing before we hear a story of how this flower communion came to be. And so I invite us to rise in body or spirit. Many of us will recognize this song, "What a Wonderful World."
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and clouds of white, the bright blessed day, the dark sacred night, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, "How do you do?" They're really saying, "I love you." I hear babies crying, I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies crying. I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
Please be seated. And yes, Leslie at piano, Alex on vocals. Thank you both. So this morning, I'm going to share a true story that is important to Unitarian Universalists all over the world. This month, our worship theme is creativity. This story is about two people who, at a time when it was hard to believe it was a wonderful world, these two people used the creativity of their hearts and minds to envision a brand new, inclusive religious ritual that would celebrate the beauty that is within each person. It's the story of how, at a time of increasing tension and polarization, and during an uprising of hate throughout the country, people came together in love. It's the story of why and how the Unitarian Universalist Flower Communion was created. Now, I just said the word communion. That's a big, scary, religious word, right? How many people, that's like, oh, I'm getting nervous, I'm getting a little nervous. So, don't worry, communion, it's really just an ordinary, beautiful word that means sharing. So, it's a story about sharing. Would you just say sharing? Sharing, great. So, Norbert Čapek was born in 1870 in the country we now call the Czech Republic, but at the time it was called Bohemia. Norbert Čapek's family was too poor to send him to school, so they sent Norbert to live with his uncle Victor in Vienna, Austria. Next slide, I think. Yep. Norbert's uncle was a tailor, and Norbert worked as his assistant. That way, he was able to earn enough money to pay and go to school. Now, Norbert liked to learn. In school, he studied science, psychology, and philosophy, and he asked many questions about religion. Too many questions. Questions that challenged the faith in which he had been raised. Norbert asked, why does one person get to be in charge of the whole church and speak as the voice of God? And if there is a God, why do we need someone to talk to God for us? Why can't we just do it ourselves? And why are men only allowed to be ministers and priests? Why are there only men in charge? Men in charge are dangerous things. What about the women? And he asked, why can't I find a church that celebrates differences instead of trying to force people to be all the same? Well, as you could imagine, Norbert's uncle did not like that his nephew asked questions. He felt questions were dangerous. He said, if you want to make it in the world, then you better keep your mouth shut and your mind closed. Yeah, in some ways, the time and place in which Norbert lived wasn't all that different from what we see unfolding in our own country, including here in Fresno and in the Central Valley. Some people don't like it if we question those in power. Some people don't like it if we question why religion is used to negate some people and control others. Some don't like it if we choose to be spiritual in a way that is different from their own. Some feel threatened by differences. When Norbert grew to be an adult, he still hadn't figured out how to be spiritual in a way that felt authentic to him. He was struggling how to be true to himself, but also how to be true to the only religious tradition he knew, but one that now felt too small and confining for him. Then one day, while reading newspapers in a library, and libraries are good places, especially when books aren't being banned. One day, Norbert was in the library reading newspapers. He looked up and he noticed this woman also reading newspapers. Somehow, he knew he needed to meet her. He took a chance. He introduced himself. He said, "Hi, I'm Norbert Chopek." The woman responded, "Hi, Norbert. It's nice to meet you. I'm Maya Veronica Oktovec." As the two talked together in the library, Maya and Norbert realized they shared a similar interest in developing themselves intellectually. They wanted to grow and learn more and learn more. They were both on individual searches for truth and meaning. Norbert decided to take a risk and share his spiritual struggles with Maya, not knowing how she would respond. Would this be enough to send her screaming from the library and out of his life? But Maya listened, and she said, "Norbert, it isn't as complicated as you're making it. I think you're a Unitarian." Norbert responded, "What's a Unitarian?" Maya smiled. And then she said, Unitarians respect each other, each person's own individual search for truth and meaning. They affirm the inherent worth and dignity of all people while also believing that all life is interconnected and interdependent, which means that Unitarians also believe they're called to prioritize and protect the most vulnerable among us. They respect diversity. They respect difference and see them as a spiritual strength. They aren't looking to force sameness on anyone, but rather teach that we need not think alike to love alike. Could we say that together? We need not think alike to love alike. Norbert's response was succinct. He said, "If that's what it means to be a Unitarian, sign me up." Norbert and Maya fell in love, and they got married. Soon after, they decided to serve more fully the Unitarian religion. Maya and Norbert decided to become Unitarian ministers. They went to seminary, and after several years, they were ordained. Maya and Norbert were officially the Reverend Maya and the Reverend Norbert. Now, at that time, over 100 years ago, there were very few Unitarian ministers. Maya was a trailblazer. She was a pioneer. She helped break a glass ceiling in a faith tradition, this one, that now, 100 years later, has more female ministers than male ministers. a faith tradition that also affirms trans and non-binary ministers. In 1921, in the city of Prague, in what is now called the Czech Republic, Maya and Norbert started a Unitarian church together. People from many religious backgrounds came to their new church. Many of them were frustrated and felt out of sync with the teachings of their former religions. They came to Maya and Norbert's congregation because they wanted to be part of a church that taught religious values that resonated with them. They wanted to be part of a spiritual community because they didn't want to face the complexities of life on their own. They wanted companions for the journey, companions who cared about shaping a more loving and compassionate world. This was 3 years after the end of World War I. The trauma, the death, and the destruction of that war was still all around them. In the aftermath of war, Maya and Norbert wanted to do something to bring people together and to remind them that even the most brutal and soul-crushing of times, there was still beauty in the earth and hope in the world. They wanted to create a ritual that would be open to everyone, no matter their religious background or spiritual beliefs. They wanted a ritual that would let them love inclusively. One morning, Maya looked outside their church window and noticed the flowers growing in the church garden. Maya said to Norbert, "These flowers, they remind me of beauty and hope. Maybe our new ritual could be based on them." Maya continued in words summarized by Fred Small. "In the ugliness of oppression, flowers celebrate the eternal hope of freedom. In the face of cruelty, they speak of courage and hope. Think of it, in the meadow, they speak of freedom, creating wild patterns and things that are so breathtaking, no gardener, even one of Fresno's best master gardeners, could match what nature creates. In their indescribable beauty, they remind us that we live always in the face of ineffable mystery. In the flowers' reappearance each year, flowers remind us that in spite of every hardship, life goes on." So, a ritual that uses flowers. So, they created the flower communion, the flower sharing. On that first Sunday, 100 years ago, they asked everyone to bring a flower with them to church. As they arrived, everybody placed their flowers in a large vase. Placing the flower in the vase represented that each person came into the church by their own free will. The children then carried the vase to the front of the church, and the congregation as a whole, not just the ministers, blessed the flowers together. After the service, as people prepared to leave, they went to the vase and each took a flower different from the one that they had brought when they arrived. So, what did this flower communion symbolize? First, no two flowers are the same. Together, the many different flowers form a beautiful bouquet. This bouquet would not be the same without each individual flower. So it is with us. Our church, it would not be the same without each and every one of us. No matter how different we may be, no matter how much we're struggling in our own lives, we are all beautiful in God's eyes, for we are all part of the great bouquet of creation. And as someone once told me, God don't make no junk. All in the end are beautiful, different, and one. Maya and Norbert introduced the flower communion 100 years ago on June 4th, 1923. And now the people in Maya and Norbert's Chopek's church liked this flower communion and the caring community that it represented. Their church in Prague became the largest Unitarian church in the world at that time, with over 3,000 members. That meant a lot of flowers for Flower Communion Sunday. But then, something happened that threatened this wonderful flower communion ritual. Adolf Hitler and the Nazis took control of Prague and Bohemia. Immediately, Maya and Norbert's church was labeled dangerous by the invading oppressors. The Nazis did not want a church like Norbert's. They did not want Unitarians. They did not want a flower communion that celebrated differences. They did not want Maya and Norbert Čapek preaching the loving Unitarian message that all people, no matter who they are born with inherent worth and dignity, and that all people are beautiful in God's eyes. Suddenly, Maya, Norbert, and the congregation found themselves in uncharted and uncertain times. They were frightened. They didn't know what was going to happen next. Would things just get worse and worse? Many Unitarians in the congregation were threatened or beaten and taken from their homes, put in prison. Some houses and businesses of Unitarians were robbed, shut down, or burned by the Nazis. Others worried that they would be the next to be disappeared, just like some of their neighbors who were Jewish. The Čapeks were regularly questioned by the Gestapo. They demanded that Maya and Norbert not speak negatively against the Nazis. So Norbert and Maya did not criticize Hitler during their sermons in public. They stayed silent. But in private, Maya, Norbert, and the members of the congregation formed a resistance team that met secretly at the church and helped Jews and other people escape from Prague. But finally, their conscience would not let them take this silence anymore. They knew that their Unitarian faith compelled them to speak out against the horror being perpetrated around them. In the spring of 1941, Norbert and Maya declared, "We can bear it no longer. We must speak the truth and not be cowards." That Sunday, during the sermon, Norbert directly challenged the Nazis by contradicting the hateful speech Adolf Hitler gave earlier in the week. Norbert excoriated Hitler for the lies and the cruel inhumanity Hitler had spewed with his words and his actions. Norbert contrasted that with his congregation's Unitarian religious values as revealed in the Flower Communion and in other teachings. 5 days later, the Gestapo came to their home and arrested Norbert. Because of his sermon, the Nazis said it was, quote, too dangerous for Norbert Čapek to be allowed to live. Norbert was sent to Dachau, the concentration camp. On his papers were stamped these instructions: Čapek's return is unwanted. While at Dachau, Norbert introduced the prisoners to the Unitarian Flower Communion. Each prisoner brought what flowers they could find in the concentration camp to the special service, or sometimes it was just perhaps weeds. At the end of the service, the prisoners left with a flower or with a weed different from the one they brought. This symbolized their interconnectedness. The prisoners were strengthened by Norbert's words and inspired by the inclusive flower communion that was open to everyone, no matter what they believed. The prisoners liked that the simple ritual reminded them that there was still beauty, there was still goodness in the world. After the war, survivors testified that the Unitarian minister could not have been sent to a place where he was more needed. Norbert brought hope and resilience to the Jewish, Christian, Unitarian, Gypsy, lesbian, gay, and transgendered prisoners in Dachau. Norbert's ministry in the concentration camp ended when he was transported with other older prisoners to the section of the camp where barbaric medical experiments were being conducted on elderly patients. These were the last words Norbert wrote to Maya, his beloved wife and partner in ministry. Remember always, the goal of religion is to create strong, confident, active, creative, loving persons who are happy with themselves and with nature, humanity, and the spirit of life. When news of Norbert's death at Dachau reached the United States, the American Unitarian Association president, Frederick May Elliott, wrote, "Another name is added to the list of heroic Unitarian martyrs by whose death our freedom has been bought. Ours is now the responsibility to see to it that we stand fast in liberty." Those words remain true in our own uncertain and troubling times when our own country's democracy is under attack. Ours is now the responsibility to see to it that we stand fast in liberty. Back in Prague, it became too dangerous for Maya to remain in her city, and she fled. She came to the United States as an immigrant and refugee, asking this country to offer her sanctuary and safety. It was a different time than it is today, and she and the other migrants were welcomed at the border with open and understanding arms. Because Maya was allowed to enter this country, she was able to offer the unique gift that she was bringing with her from the congregation in Prague. Maya brought the flower communion to America. She first introduced it to the Unitarian Church in Cambridge, Massachusetts, but soon Maya began to travel and share the flower communion ritual all across the country. She shared it because she believed that the hardest times and the most dire moments are not strong enough to rob us of our love. It cannot rob us of our capacity to share love. Not even death can take from us the love that is exchanged between people. It's with us as long as we have love to offer. It's with us whenever we are open to receiving love from others. Dear ones, by offering what we can, by making room to receive the offerings of others, we carry within us the hope for the future. We carry within us the hope for the future. As we sometimes sing, "From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live." May it be so. Que así sea, bendito sea, blessed be. Amen. So now, in the spirit of Maya and Norbert Čapek and that wartime Unitarian congregation in Prague, let us celebrate our flower communion. First, in just a moment, here on our Alluvial Avenue campus, we're going to welcome our children back into the sanctuary as they come and sit with their families. And perhaps our parents, grandparents, and guardians could just stand up to make it easier for our kids to refine where they're going to sit. And let our kids come on and join families again. So, Eva, I understand that the kids all heard the story of the flower communion in their time with you. Our adults also heard the story of the flower communion in their time in the sanctuary. So now it's time to join together and for the 100th year in history, participate in this ritual communion. To do so, in a moment, but not yet, our socially distanced section, it's going to be invited to come forward first, come to the table in front, select a flower that calls to you, and then maybe by circling back down the center aisle, then go back to your seats. After we do our socially distanced side, we are going to then have you folks on the far side just come right down this side aisle, cross into the front. A plethora of flowers await you. Pick the one that speaks to you, and be sure to head back down the center aisle and then circle around. Last, but certainly not least, our center section, the same thing. You're going to come down the side aisle. There will still be a plethora of flowers waiting for you as well. And then please exit back the center aisle and circle back to your seats. We're going to begin our flower communion on our virtual campus, and we invite you at home to participate, perhaps with the flower or a picture of the flower. We have pictures from past virtual flower communion services. Kids, watch the pictures carefully and see if you can find 2 dogs, a boy with a flower pot, and a very wise woman with flowers in her glasses. Music, please. As Alex and Leslie prepare to perform the song about flowers, I invite the members, beginning with our socially distanced side, to come forward to the table and select a flower. Let our flower communion on Alluvial Avenue campus begin.
Every flower's reaching for the sun. Every petal opens when the day has just begun. Even in the city where they grow up through the street, every blossom needs the sunshine to make its life complete. Some are torn out by the roots and cast aside, and some might be arranged for a bride. But a flower's just a seed when it's young, and every flower's reaching for the sun. are touched by love and set free. A flower's just a seed when it's young, but every flower's reaching, every flower's reaching, every flower's reaching for the sun.
Dear ones, I take this yellow flower for all of those on our virtual campus. We are connected in spirit. And all those on our virtual campus, we love you. And we have a bouquet for Leslie at the piano. Thank you. I'm going to ask Eliana to join me. Wow. Surrounded by the beauty of our flowers, we're going to do what the Reverends Maya and Norbert Čapek and their congregation did 100 years ago in Prague. We're going to bless these flowers with our love, using words adapted from the blessing that the Čapeks first used 100 years ago in Prague. Our response for all ages will be, bless these flowers with our love, que nuestro amor bendiga estas flores. Could we try that together? Bless these flowers with our love, que nuestro amor bendiga estas flores. One more time. Bless these flowers with our love, que nuestro amor bendiga estas flores. Eliana, you know what? I realized you don't have a flower, and I don't have a flower. So yeah, if you could hold that for... I'm going to grab one here so we can be part of the beauty. So first, I invite us to rise in body or spirit. And for a moment, let's just hold our flowers up and just look at the colors. Perhaps on our virtual campus, it's just one flower and one color. Here on Alluvial Avenue, it is many colors. And I invite us to bring that flower now to our heart. Let us bless our flowers. Let us pray.
Infinite Spirit of life, Fuente de Amor, God of our own understanding, we ask for your blessing on those gathered today, holding a blossom of beauty and hope. Let each of us be messengers of community and love. Together, let us say,
bless these flowers with our love, que nuestro amor bendiga estas flores. May these blossoms remind us that each of us brings our unique story, and each of us possesses diverse knowledge and gifts. And together, this bouquet of color and beauty is truly a blessing. Together, let us say, bless these flowers with our love, que nuestro amor bendiga estas flores.
May we not let awareness of another's talents discourage us or weaken our relationship, but may we realize that whatever we can do, great or small, the efforts of all of us are needed to do love's work in this world. Together, for one last time, let us say,
bless these flowers with our love, que nuestro amor bendiga estas flores. May it be so, blessed be, amen. Now, let's join our voices and we will sing De Colores.
To wear when the spring starts to breeze in. All the colors the birds dress themselves in for us in this season. All
be seated.
As our celebration of color, creativity, beauty, and blossoms comes to an end, please join me in our chalice extinguishing words, led by Karen and Troy.
Oh. Oh, do we not have that one, Ian? Okay. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts. Before I offer some reminders, Eliana, you were going to remind me to offer reminders, but I remembered, so you don't have to remind me to offer those reminders. But thank you for being willing to offer the reminder if I hadn't remembered. Let's hear it for Eliana. Alex and Leslie, thank you for piano and voice. I think you'd all be shocked to know that next week is our annual congregational meeting. We hope you will join us after the Sunday service. We do need to have a quorum of members in order to affirm our slate of officers and also approve our fiscal year budget. As you leave the sanctuary today on our Alluvial Avenue campus, our ushers were going to give you slips of paper with needed, oh boy, they're gonna love that at Cross City. Needed food items for the food pantry at Wesley Methodist Church and Valley Children's Hospital. Please take that and bring them next week. Today is the last day for you to enjoy the gorgeous artwork from around the world that is hanging on the back of our sanctuary walls. This is the Loving Earth Project, so I think that, there we go, the Loving Earth Project. These are handmade explorations of our climate crisis, as well as the hope that people around the world embody. There are over 400 panels traveling the world right now. We are honored that this congregation was invited to, not just for Fresno, but for the whole Central Valley to have these on display. So please do take a look at those. Outside awaits coffee hour. There is a newcomers question and answer table outside as well, where the effervescent Chris awaits to welcome new folks with questions. I think, with the exception of welcoming folks who are here for the first, second, or third time, that's all the reminders. So if this is your first, second, or third time and you're not feeling too bashful, could you rise for just a moment? We want to gently welcome you for being here. Welcome, 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 welcome. Oh, fantastic. Welcome, welcome. Wow, welcome. I invite the rest of the congregation to rise with them. We will have our closing words and then our sung benediction. I invite you to join hands if you came in a pod, or just hands over your heart. These closing words of blessing come from Eric Williams. Love is the spirit of this church. May the songs we sing celebrate this love. May the lives we lead embody this love. May we all go forth in peace to create peace. May it be so. Blessed be. Amen. and assalamu alaikum. Happy Mother's Day.